All showing. Okay. Yep, we're going to do 12.5. That's right. 1, 2, 3, and now 5.
What was 4?
Don't worry about it. The quadratic formula. And you'd be surprised at how few notes there are. The others, now the problem with chapter 12 and quadratics is that they all run together. And y'all found that out yesterday during the quiz. When should I do this? When should I do that? And really, it doesn't matter. It's back to like that solving the system by graphing, solving the system by substitution, and solving the system, but put your hand down, by elimination. So truly, I can give you a system of equations, right? And you could choose any of those to solve it, correct? Okay, but some ways work better than others. Graphing doesn't always work. Elimination could be a nightmare. Substitution seems to be the one that works more often than the others, okay? This, what you're doing is the same thing. Solve it by factoring, solve it by, that b over 2 squared. There's multiple ways of solving these things, and that tends to be the biggest issue. Taylor, you have a question?
Does that mean we can do the by completing the square even if it's perfect factor?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. You'll always get the same answers, but there's different ways of doing it. Now, the quadratic formula, people will say, is the one way that never fails. Okay? It's the one way that never fails. Now, is it the easiest to do? Not necessarily. Substitution, if you remember, was a lot of writing, a lot of work, right? But it really never failed. Quadratic formula, same thing. On my proto page, if I'm not mistaken, I've got a song to help remember the formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. There you go. There's the end part.
Oh, wow. Cute.
My students, I'm going to put 2 stars there. 3 stars. My students will learn that song. Now, I hate doing this to you, but you're going to have that memorized. You're going to have that memorized. I'm telling you, you're going to have this memorized. Before you go into next year, the year after, you're going to have that memorized. Now, again, there is a song, and if we can get through today, and maybe after notes today or tomorrow, I will play the song, or you can find it when you get home. I can tell you, Allie, Elizabeth, Becca, if I say quadratic formula, they start singing. And that's how they get it done. Now, one piece of advice, when you are doing your work, every single time you do a problem, write the formula down. That's a lot of stuff there. You mess up, you leave off the negative, you leave off an A, you put a B here, you make one wrong move, the whole thing's going to be wrong.
I already wrote it wrong.
Okay, you have to write it, and I would write it every time because it's getting you used to it. It also is a visual, so you just plug in information. That's all you do. And the song, I'm telling you, will help you out. During the test, I expect to hear y'all singing. Here are the steps. And again, people will tell you the quadratic formula, have it memorized. You can't go wrong with it unless you write it wrong or you do some math wrong. Write the equation in standard form. ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And like some of those others, completing the square, you write it in a different way. So it's hard to remember each of these. But the quadratic formula, write it in that form. Step 2, identify the values of A, B, and C. Identify the values, that means what are the numbers? So first, write it in this form, then identify the values or the numbers of A, B, and C in your equation. And then the last step is to substitute these values into the quadratic formula and simplify. And that is why it's very popular, because you're not having to do any factoring. Those of you that hate factoring, and you know who you are, because like a lot of you came to me during the quiz, or you got those wrong. And I was like, well, can you take anything out? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, in this case, there's no factoring.
Yeah.
Right? So right there, that's going to be nice. You're not having to complete the square where you have to identify the b, do that whole b divided by 2 squared, add that to both sides, then solve, and do all this other stuff. It's basic. There's your equation. Find out what your numbers are, and then just plug them in and start working. That's it. So do you see why people, remember Mrs. Stahl? Loved quadratic formula. I don't know why. But she did. She would always, oh, I love that. Math people tend to like this because it makes sense above everything else. All right, open up your book to page 505. We're doing examples.
Are you done?
I mean, really, it looks worse than it is. Those are the only notes, really. Now we're going to jump in and do examples. Once we start doing these, there's not going to be a whole lot of changes. The only changes are going to be near the end. But other than that, and you're going to need plenty of room, by the way. I've got like half a page. So make sure you have about half a page, and you're going to need good notes, step by step, okay? Do not skip a step on this. Trust me. We're going to start with number 7. Number 7 says x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. Now, suggestion. Am I saying you have to do it? No. Am I saying it'll be helpful? Yep. Right above it, right above your equation, once you have it written, go ahead and write standard form. ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Because then your eyes are drawn to the different values. Emily, what is the value of A? Okay, if there's nothing there, there's x squared and x squared, but what would the A be then? Bingo! The A is 1 because there's no number there, correct? Right? There's no number, so then we know it's 1. So, Michaela, what is B? 6. See that? And then Cecilia, what is C? 8. Very good. All right, so again, another piece of advice. Write it above, and then identify your values right here. Then you don't have to look at this anymore. It is easier on the brain to identify them ahead of time. Now, like I suggested, you write your formula. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, and yes, you are writing this too, all over 2a. You're writing your formula and you're making sure you have written it correctly. All right, so now we're going to plug in the information. We're going to go slow. I have a negative b, so it's going to be negative 6. If this was a negative, what would it be then?
Positive.
Positive. If this 6 was negative and there's a minus there, that's then going to make this positive. Do y'all understand that? All right. Plus or minus square root. Okay, b squared. So 6 squared. And I'm not solving anything yet. I'm just filling it in. Minus 4 times a is 1 times c is 8 over 2 times a, which is 1. Now I'm going to wait and let y'all catch up. Do y'all see what I did? Do you have the same thing? Do you have questions where we got that information? Any questions so far? Cicely, any questions? Okay. All right, so no questions. All right, so all we did was plug in. Now we can start, doing some of this. So I'm not going to mess with that negative 6 or the plus and minus, but I can solve some stuff under here. Michael, what is 6 squared?
36.
Minus, what is 4 times 1 times 8, Gabby? Over 2 times 1, Taylor.
2.
Very good.
Wow, that was so hard. It hurts my brain.
Okay, does anyone have any questions where I got this information? Go step by step. All right. Negative 6 plus or minus square root. What is 36 minus 32, Whit?
4.
Over 2. Any questions so far? None. All right. Now we can do a lot of stuff here, but I'm going to make this, before I do a lot of simplifying, I'm going to work this out. What is the square root of 4?
2.
So I'm going to do x equals negative 6 plus or minus 2 over 2. Now, because of the plus and minus, I'm going to do negative 6 plus 2 divided by 2. And then right here, I'm going to do negative 6 minus 2 divided by 2. Does everyone see where I got that? That's an easy place to mess up. Does everyone understand why it's plus 2 and minus 2? If you don't, please let me know. All right, so negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4 over 2. And Aiden, what is negative 4 divided by 2? Negative 2. I have negative 6 minus 2, which is what, Emily? Negative 8 over 2. And Michaela, what is negative 8 divided by 2? Negative 4. So then my answer, let's see, are they expecting it? Yeah, because they said in the direction solution set. So the solution set is negative 2, comma, negative 4. And there you go. And that inevitably is what you are doing today. Any questions on this? Do you have a question?
Yeah, so does it matter whether you divide by 2 first? Because I
Work it out.
Because I worked them both out and they both got the same answer.
There you go. You're talking about way over here, right?
Like
You can divide both of them by 2.
down.
Or down here?
Yeah.
Okay, so what they're saying is you can go to this point, divide both, not just one, but both by 2, and it'll work it out. But if you are afraid of making a mistake, like if you think, well, I'll just divide by 6, and you forget the 2, you'll get a wrong answer. So if you're like, no, I think I'd like to work it out both ways, perfectly fine. Less room for error if you work it all out. Any questions? Less room for error if you work it all out. All right, 11. A squared minus, 9 equals 0. Okay, now this one's weird. It's in the correct format, but it's missing something. Remember, we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So we're missing something. We're missing this middle term right here. Y'all notice that? But still, bless you, I'm going to say it again. Over here, write down what your values are. Even if the b is missing, if that whole term is missing, it doesn't matter. Still got to write down your values. So Cecilia, what is the value of a? 1. Perfect. Michael, what is the value of b? 0. Because there's no b, guys, right? So then the value is 0. Don't just leave it out. It's just a 0. And then, Gabby, what is c? Negative 9. That's right. Don't forget it is negative. All right, so we're going to write down our formula. You all are writing it down. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Bless you.
Bless you.
All right, so negative b, well, b is 0, so I'm going to put negative 0. Yes, I'm writing it all out. We know that just means 0, but we're just going to write it out. B squared, that's 0 squared, minus 4 times 1 times negative 9. All over 2 times 1. Make sure you have everything plugged in correctly. These are notes. I'm writing everything out. Yes, we know that 0 is 0, negative 0, 0. In fact, at this point, we can even remove the 0 because there's nothing there. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with keeping it there. But I'm going to go ahead and remove it. 0 squared is just 0, right? So we won't have to worry about that. Let's see, Taylor, what is negative 4 times 1 times negative 9?
36.
36. And 2 times 1 is 2. Any questions as to where I'm getting this information? Okay, Whit, what is the square root of 36?
6.
So I have plus minus 6 over 2. All right, we've gone as far as we can go. I'm going to draw my little arrows. I have positive 6 over 2, and then negative 6 over 2. Because of my plus and minus. Aiden, what is 6 divided by 2? And Emily, what is negative 6 divided by 2? Negative 3. So this is a solution set. Right, they're still asking for that. Yep. So you either can write positive 3 and negative 3, or you can write plus minus 3 because it's the same number. Make sure you write this down. Tell me if you have any questions. Nobody? Everyone have this down?
I don't know what they're called, point in brackets. On the second one kind of looks like their faces.
Oh yeah, they do. All right, let's do another. 19. Two y squared minus 5y equals negative 1. Michaela, is this written in standard form?
Yes. No.
What do we need to do?
You just write the thing above it.
No. Cecilia, help her out. Cecilia, is this written in standard form?
No.
What do I need to do to get it to be in standard form?
Move the negative 1.
Bingo. We got to move the negative 1 over, and we do that by adding 1 to both sides. So now I have 2y squared minus 5y plus 1 equals 0. Now it is in standard form. Do you understand, Michaela? Okay. Now, I'm writing it above because everything's got to be over here and equal to 0. All right, so what is my value of A, Michael?
It is 2.
And Gabby, what's my value of B? And Taylor, what's my value of C?
1.
1. All right, so now I'm going to write my formula. Make sure you have it written correctly. All right, now we start plugging in. With this says negative B, and my B is negative 5. So what should this be?
It's going to be positive 5.
That's right. It's going to be positive 5 because if that's a negative and that's a negative, it's going to be like this. Therefore, it's a positive 5. We can go ahead and fix that. And then this is b squared. That's negative 5 squared. Whoops, why did I put equals? Minus 4 times 2 times 1 over 2 times 2. See how easy it is to mess up? I just did it. All right. 5 plus or minus. Aiden, what is negative 5 squared? And Emily, what is negative 4 times 2 times 1?
Negative.
And 2 times 2 is 4. I'm trying to write that down. All right, Michaela. What is 25 minus 8?
17.
17. All right, Cecilia, what can I do here? Can I do anything with the square root of 17? Can I divide 5 and 4 or simplify it? So is there anything I can do? Nope. You are correct. There's your answer. There's your answer.
This is nice.
Should we do y or x? So y was the one being used in this problem.
It doesn't matter. I mean, you probably should do y, but it doesn't matter.
Would we turn it off?
No, I'll change it, but this is really the important part. Question, what? Was that the question?
Well, never mind.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Question?
If it says to give us this set, will we technically take off the y and put it in brackets?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay with
exactly.
that?
Huh?
You with that?
Well, this one, it didn't say solution set, but yes. Huh? No, not 419. Any questions? Those are good questions.
Would we turn it off if we did it with the brackets?
I'm probably not going to take off.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna be.
I'm not going to do that.
Are we having any tests or just a specific exam?
You're not having a 6-week exam. You're having a semester exam.
Semester?
Is it gonna be like a part?
I can't remember. I think I might give you another quiz over this stuff.
We have a test on Friday.
Huh?
We had a test on Friday.
You do have a test on
No,
Friday?
what if we did? Shocking.
We don't have enough time to do it. Don't worry about it. Well, let's keep doing examples here. All right, 21. So I don't want y'all to have, like a ton of homework or anything. 3x squared equals 7. Michaela, is that in standard form?
No.
No. What do we need to do?
Move the 7.
How do I do that?
Subtract.
There you go. Subtract both sides. So then I have 3x squared minus 7 equals 0. All right, so keep in mind we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. All right, Cecilia, what is the value of A?
3.
Michael, what's the value of B?
0.
Isn't that funny how you answered that same one last time? C, Gabby, -7. All right, we're going to write negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. See, already some of y'all are probably memorizing this over 2 times a. All right, so we start plugging in information. X equals, B is 0, so I'm just going to put 0. Plus or minus, 0 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 7 over 2 times 3. Let y'all write that down.
Can we make the 0 negative?
If you feel like you need to make it negative.
It'll make you feel
All right. X equals, well, we can now get rid of the 0, so I have plus or minus. Square root, 0 squared, we know is just 0. So let's see, who was next? Taylor, was it you?
No,
Negative 4 times 3 times negative 7.
84.
And then 2 times 3 is 6.
Yes.
No, it's 7.
Now, what do I need to do?
You're gonna have to simplify the 84.
That's right. Factor tree. So what two numbers give me 84?
2 and 42.
That's right.
And then that is 7 times 6. And 7 is prime. And then 3 times 2.
So I have 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. I'm going to circle my pairs and line my leftovers. So back up to here. X equals plus or minus, how would I write this?
2 goes on the outside, and then 21 goes on the inside.
Over 6. Now, Aiden,
Yes.
can I do any simplifying?
Oh no, you can't actually. Yes. You can simplify 2 is 6.
2 and 6. That's right. You can divide 2 by 2 and 6 by 2. So then you get x equals plus or minus 1 times the square root of 21 over 3. Do I have to have that 1 there though, Aiden? Nope, don't have to. You can just do this. And there's your answer. Now, if you put this with the 1, that's okay. Can I do 21 divided by 3?
No.
Because this is under a radical, and that's not. So there's your answer. Any questions?
No.
Y'all ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Page 505. You've got very good examples to help you through. Eight. Through 22 even. That is 8 problems. Through 26 even. Oops. This is all due Wednesday. Any questions? 8 problems. Did I mention there's only 8? 8 problems.